Good day and welcome to Alena Media TV. We are broadcasting from Toronto, Canada. I am Elsa Abraham, and in this episode we are bringing you African news. Here is your headlines. US aid deploys disaster assistance response team to respond to humanitarian needs in Tigre, Ethiopia. And in our next story, Ethiopia also postpones voters' registration for general elections, citing regional delays. In our last story, 4 media workers arrested in Ethiopia's Tigre region. Let's go for a quick break. When we come back, we'll get our news in details. Kindly stay with us. Welcome back from that short break. Now, the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, is deploying a disaster assistance response team, the DAT, to respond to growing humanitarian needs stemming from conflict in Ethiopia's Tigre region. After nearly 4 months of fighting between armed groups, hundreds of thousands have been forced to flee their homes, and more than 4 million people are in need of food assistance. U.S. aides that will lead the U.S. government's humanitarian response. The team includes disaster experts who are assessing the situation, identifying priority needs to scale up assistance, and working with partners to provide urgently needed assistance to communities affected by the conflict. Since the outbreak of conflict, U.S. aids partners have been pivoting existing programs to provide life-saving assistance in few areas of Tigre that can be reached. While U.S. aid has been working with partners to overcome many access challenges, an estimated 80% of Tigre remains cut off from assistance. The United States remains committed to supporting the people of Ethiopia and is the largest humanitarian donor in Ethiopia. In FY 2020, the United States remain committed to supporting the people of Ethiopia and is the largest humanitarian donor in Ethiopia. In FY 2020, the U.S. provided more than $652 million in humanitarian assistance to respond to acute food needs, conflict-driven displacement, flooding, a desert locust infestation, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Moving on to our next story for today, Ethiopia postpones voters' registration for general elections, citing regional delays. Ethiopia's agency to manage elections on Monday announced postponement of voters' registration for the country's 6th general elections this year, citing challenges like delayed support from regions. In a press statement, the National Electoral Board of Ethiopia said the registration is scheduled to start on March 25th and last until April 23rd. Previously, it had been slated to fall on March 1st to 25th. In regard to the reasons, the independent institution cited delays in opening constituency offices, lack of transportation for the distribution of election materials, and the thorough and time-consuming process of recruiting independent constituency officers, among others. Ethiopia planned to hold its general elections in August 2020. In June last year, its upper house of parliament approved a recommendation to postpone the elections over concerns for COVID-19. Later in December, the Electoral Board tentatively set June 5th, 2021 as the date for the elections. And moving on to our last story for today, 4 media workers arrested in Ethiopia's Tigre region. 4 media workers in Ethiopia's conflict-wracked Tigre region, including a translator working for agency France Presse, has been arrested and detained, their families and employers said. Tigre has been the theater of fighting since early November 2020, when Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed announced military operations against the Tigre People's Liberation Front, the TPLF, accusing them of attacking federal army camps. The area was an information black hole for much of that time, with reporting heavily restricted and the internet cut off. 7 international media organizations, including AFP, the BBC, and the Financial Times, have now been granted accreditation to report from Tigre, but journalists were warned by officials they might have unspecified corrective measures if they did not meet local standards. Fitsam Berhane and Alula Akalu, who were working as translators for journalists from the AFP and the Financial Times, were detained on Saturday, their families said. A third man, a journalist named Temrat Yemani, was also arrested in Mekelle, the Tigrean capital. Late Monday, the BBC also said one of its journalists, Geme Gebru, had been detained by the military in Mekelle. Fitsam and Alula are being held at a military college near Mekelle University, their families told AFP. Relatives have not been able to see them and no explanation has been given to their arrest. They are under investigation. The information we have is that there is already some evidence, said Mulu Nega, the leader of the interim administration in Tigre, which was appointed by Addis Ababa. Asked what the investigation was about and what the evidence was, he said there's no detailed information. The AFP's global news director, Phil Chedward, called for Fitsam's immediate release. We have not been informed of any specific charges against Fitsam Berhane. His collaboration with a media outlet should not be a motive for his arrest, he said. The Financial Times also said it was taking all possible steps to secure the release of their translators. Our concerns have been raised with the relevant authorities as we work to understand the reasons for the arrest. The BBC said it had expressed its concerns to the Ethiopian authorities and was awaiting their response. Media Freedom Group, the Committee to Protect Journalists, said that the detentions could send a chill through the reporting community. The Ethiopian military's arrest of journalists and media workers will undoubtedly lead to fear and self-censorship, the group said on Monday. Ethiopian authorities should release these journalists and media workers immediately and provide guarantees that the press can cover the conflict in Tigre without intimidation. This is where we end today's episode on African News. Make sure you like, share, comment. Let us know your thoughts on this particular episode. Thanks for watching.